Okay, so my best friend got me this little thing as a birthday present. There's actually a whole, series of them. It's a tiny little pocket Midsummer Night's Dream. See that? Isn't that just, adorable? It's just, one of my favorite birthday presents ever, and, it's September now, isn't it? Poop. Now, this movie is the last request I've done this summer. It's September, I know, but it's still summer. It's technically still summer until the 21st, so I'm technically still on time. Right? Right. I am ashamed. Anyway, all the requests were really strange to me, but this one especially seemed a bit odd, because I'm an American, and it's actually pretty difficult to find a legal copy of this movie in America. As hard as it is for any Westerner to find anything made by director Oh, that is just a car crash of consonants right there. Jiří... I gotta look it up.
Jiří Trnka.
Jiří Turnpike, okay. I've talked a bit about the Czech animation scene before, specifically Jan Svankmajer, but Svankmajer was the gritty reimagining of the worlds that Jiří Trnka created. Trnka worked in worlds of innocence, taking the graces of traditional Czech puppetry and setting them in motion. His creations are charming, simple, nostalgic, an aesthetic that earned him the moniker the Walt Disney of the East. Though Disney was a shrewd businessman and marketer, Trnka was more like a character that Disney would animate. He'd been carving puppets from a young age, and after gaining success as an illustrator of children's books, he took his puppeteering skills and gave them life. He essentially was Geppetto. In the mid-50s, he became famous in Czechoslovakia for telling Czech stories, Czech peasants, Czech legends, a popular Czech novel. But here, he'd finally found international acclaim by using an internationally renowned author.
Tehda jako dnes hořely hvězdy na nebi roku 1594, kdy psal básník Shakespeare tu svou slavnou komedii O snu noci svatojánské.
Hey! By the way, the Walt Disney of the East moniker was given to him in 1959 at the Cannes Film Festival, when this film premiered. His adaptation of A Midsummer Night's Dream. A Midsummer Night's Dream. I finally get to talk about a non-porn version. A Midsummer Night's Dream takes place in one world depicted through three worlds. The Athenian nobility, the amateur actors, and the magical world of the fairies. Through most of the play, they're fragmented. None of the pieces all come together at once, but rather they bumble and crash in the night, which Trnka shows. He animates the three factions wildly differently. The Athenians move with grace, the actors jerk and stumble, and the fairies... wow. His direction of gesture is masterful, but surprisingly, he animated little himself, leaving that to his crew. Though Trnka did have complete control over the camera, he moved it in surprising ways, adding motion and depth to his scenes. But his true signature was in the design of the puppets themselves. Watch the faces. They never move. The faces only change through lighting and positioning. Everything you need to know about the character is in their body language. Trnka never designed his puppets to allow for changes in facial expression. He hated lip sync. The closest he gets to it is this. Foreign distributors often slap narration on his films. For example, this one got a voiceover by Richard Burton, but normally, not a word. He also worked closely with his composer, Václav Trojan, often animating to sync with the music. And the result of that attention to music and lack of voice is less puppetry than ballet. But of course it's more than ballet. He does things that one can only do in film, using dissolves and overlays to turn these wooden figures into gossamer. But part of me wonders how beautiful it should be. Hear me out. A Midsummer Night's Dream is one of Shakespeare's most popular plays, but also one of his structurally flimsiest. And even Shakespeare seems a bit apologetic on this one. After all, he ends the play by calling it a weak and idle theme, humbly apologizing for any offense caused by the players. And this is right after Shakespeare puts on one of the most epically bad short plays designed to be epically bad. So bad that Shakespeare basically invented Mystery Science Theater 3000 centuries early. This lantern doth the horned moon present. Myself, the man in the moon do seem to be. This is the greatest error of all the rest. The man should be put into the lantern. How else is it the man in the moon? Now, I'm going to share one of my favorite bits of intentionally bad writing. Pyramus's death scene. Stage direction. Stabs himself. Pyramus. Thus die I. Thus, thus, thus. Now am I dead. Now am I fled. My soul is in the sky. Tongue, lose thy light. Moon, take thy flight. Now die, 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 die. Stage direction. Dies. You just know Shakespeare throwing shade at like 50 other writers right there. It's deliberately anticlimactic. The play ends, the Athenians plead for them not to say any more lines, they have a dance party, then they all go to bed because everyone just got married, then the fairies return to bless the beds, and Puck apologizes for the play being crap, yada yada yada, we all know how it goes. But Trnka lets the fairies intervene earlier. Puck comes in and lets the mechanicals have their play end with the poetry it deserves.
Povídám Puku, dost už komedie. Hořela pěkně, teď ji pěkně sfoukneš.
Trnka even adds his own epilogue about the power of dreaming.
Je něco v našich snech, co životem nás vodí. Je něco v našich snech, co nikdy nezmírá. A což teprve ve snu pana Shakespearea.
So Trnka certainly didn't think that it was a weak and idle theme. Then again, it's kind of hard to tell what Trnka thought at this time. That is, it was hard to tell when he was speaking as himself. He, like many other artists behind the Iron Curtain, was subject to heavy censorship by the Communist Party, who seized power only a few years after Trnka made his first films. For the most part, Trnka held his head down, up until the end, when he made his final film, The Hand. When cinephilic circles talk about Trnka, it's often for this film, where a simple potter is caught by a menacing human hand, who commands the potter to make images of itself. He enjoyed plenty of financial freedom thanks to his state subsidies, at the cost of his artistic freedom. American animator Gene Deitch once said that upon meeting Trnka, Jiří exclaimed, "I am a very famous man." Deitch soon learned that he was being ironic. What Trnka meant was, he was not a free man. And as of writing this video, a decent copy of this movie is still hard to find legally. I haven't been able to glean much about who owns the rights to this film. There seems to be a conflict between the Czech government and Trnka's family, and I could only find a low-quality Laserdisc copy for use in this video, which is tragic. Trnka was an influence on Švankmajer and the brothers Quay. He's such an important figure in the history of global animation. Stop-motion animation is already a very niche discipline, but with only Laika really pioneering the form right now, we need to keep that history alive. So yeah, Criterion, if you're watching through some magic of the internet, if you're not already working on getting Jiří Trnka's films widely distributed in an HD format, do that. Because as lovely as this ripped Laserdisc copy is, I want to see it in its full beauty. And finally, I want to conclude this year with a film of my own choice. It was also hard to find for a long time, and it has recently been restored by the Criterion Collection. So, That's exciting. And hopefully I'll get it out before the summer technically ends.